Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we're going to discuss the Rambam's ruling in Hilchos Zechiya Umatana, Perik Shlishi Halacha Aleph. Here the Rambam is talking about the mode of transferring your property to someone else by means of a gift. There's sale of property, and the way you sell your property, if it's a movable property, there's the method of acquiring it through Mashiach, by pulling it, by lifting it up. But if it's land, then you do the same. To purchase land, it's through three methods. Kesef, by giving them money, paying for it. Shtar, a document. And chazaka, an act, a proprietary act, showing your ownership, where you improve the property, and you do something to demonstrate that you are now the owner. So that's when you sell property. Now the Rambam here talks about a gift. Hanaisin matana l'chaverei. If someone gives a gift to his fellow, eina makabel zeicha ba, ela be'echem min hadrachim she'hakeina zeicha behen b'mekchai. A person who receives the gift only acquires it if he uses one of the methods that someone would acquire something through a purchase. That if it's metaltalin, if it's a movable object, then he has to pick it up or pull it, shicha, things that are not normally lifted, or other methods that movable objects can be acquired. If it's land, then he gives him the land until he gets the land as a gift, as long as he does something to hold on to it, to show ownership, or he getting a shtar, a contract. But with just verbiage, with words, someone says, I'm giving you a gift, lo zocha mekabel. The recipient does not get it, does not acquire it. And each party could change his mind. In other words, what the Rambam is saying is that a gift is the same as a purchase. That means it's not just words. You can't just say, I'm giving it to you, it's yours, keep it, I don't want it. That's not the way you acquire a gift. The same way you can't sell something but just with verbiage, just verbally, the same thing is true with a gift. Now, when the Rambam here talks about the way to acquire a gift of land, he mentions two methods. He mentions the shtar, the deed, the contract, and he mentions the chazaka, a proprietary act. He doesn't mention the third method with which you can acquire something, with kesef, by paying for it. Well, the answer is obvious, that you don't pay for a gift. That would be a sale. But what happens if you give money? Let's say you want to acquire a gift. So you say to the giver, the donor, here's $1, and this should help me acquire the gift, because it's one of the three methods of acquisition through money. So you're not paying for the full value, but you're giving money, which is a kinyan, which is a formal act of acquisition, and it works in a sale. If I want to sell my land to someone and they give me $1 for it, and we agree on that price and that dollar, then the land is acquired. So why would matana be any different? That's a question that's asked, say, for Divrei Heschel, one of the Talmudic authors of the 20th century, early 20th century. And the Divrei Heschel says this proves that the Rambam agrees with the Sma and not with the Taz. What are we referring to? In Choshen Mishpat, Simin Kuf Tzadik, where it talks about the laws of buying and selling, and it talks about what is the concept behind the kinyan kesef, the mode of acquiring things through giving money. So the Sma says that when you're giving money, the money doesn't do the acquisition. But what helps for the acquisition to take place, you're paying for the value of the property. In other words, what money does, money is not a kinyan, like you're performing an act, let's say with a handkerchief, giving the other person as a way of acquiring things. When you pay with money, you're paying for the value. And even if you give a pruta, just one small coin, that's the down payment. And the rest is like a loan. But it's as if you paid everything. So you're acquiring things by payment. That's the opinion of the Sma, one of the major commentators of the Shulchan Aruch. The Taz disagrees. And according to the Sma, if a person says, I'm giving you the money as the mode of acquisition, but not because of its value, it doesn't work. So the Taz says, Lehivanti dvarav, I don't understand. And he brings several proofs. One of them is, how do we get married? We give a ring. You're not paying for the value of the woman to say that the ring is her full value or it's a down payment for her full value. And therefore, if the Torah compares purchase of a property to marriage, he argues that the reason why kesef works is because the actual act of giving the money, that is the kinyan, that is the act of acquisition, not because of its value, that you're paying the value for it, but because it's like a shtar, it's like a contract. The shtar works not because of its value. When you do a proprietary act on the land, it's not because of any value that you're giving the land. It's an act that has the power to make things yours. So the Sefer Divrei Heschel says we can prove from this Rambam that the Rambam agrees with the Sma, that you're paying the value and not an act of acquisition. If this would be an act of acquisition and it works because the Torah tells us that giving money makes it yours, then what would be the difference between a purchase and a gift? Even if you're receiving a gift and you gave us a nominal amount, a symbolic amount, that should be enough to make it yours. The fact that the Rambam omits the idea of giving kesef means that you're only giving kesef because you're paying the value. But if it's a gift, that the person says, I'm giving you a gift, there's no payment for the value of a gift. And the Rambam is consistent with his opinion earlier in Hilchos Mechira. In Hilchos Mechira, the Rambam, when he talks about how to purchase something with money, he says, Ketzad b'kesef, how do you do it with money? Machalei bayis, machalei sada, sells him a house or a field, v'nasalei hadamim, and he gives him the money, kana, he acquires it. So the Eben Ha'azal, one of the commentators on the Rambam, asks the question, why the Rambam, when he talks about Kedushin, he uses the term kesef. Kesef is literally silver, but it refers to money. And over here, he uses the word damim. What's the difference between the two? And the Even Ha'azal explains that when it comes to Kedushin, everyone agrees that you're not paying the value of this woman when you give her kesef, when you give her money or anything that has value, the ring or anything that has value. You're not paying for her. There, the kesef is a kinyan. It's an act that acquires things for you. But when it comes to purchasing of a field or a house, the word there, the active word here is damim. Damim means its value. You're paying its value, and that's what allows you to acquire it. So we have a distinction between marriage and purchasing. And the Rambam holds that there's also a distinction between purchasing and giving a gift. In the case of a purchase, the kesef is paying the value. In the case of a gift, the kesef, the money wouldn't work because there's no giving of a value when it's a gift. And to give kesef as an act of acquisition, there is no such thing in halacha, according to the Sma, and it seems to be the opinion of the Rambam. Not everyone agrees with this. It seems from the way it's discussed by many. The Tosfos Rid, one of the Rishonim in Kedushin, Daf Yud Gimel, says clearly that a matana would work if you give kesef. So we know for sure that there's a dispute between the Rambam and the Tosfos Rid, and some say that it's really a dispute between Rashi and Tosfos, and that this dispute between the Sma and the Taz is really an old dispute between the Rishonim.